Okay, so then now that we've got the core concepts of the controls down, let's talk a little bit about some of these different ones in here, because these are where you're going to get into making an experience. Combo box is a lot like dropdown. The only difference with combo box is it has a search capability built into it. So if you have a dropdown with 100 items, if you make it a combo box, you can give them the ability to search through your 100 items. In reality, I'd probably tell you not to design a solution that had 100 items in your dropdown, but it's up to you. Date picker. So this is good old-fashioned, let people choose from a date on a calendar. And when you do the date picker, I just want to show you a couple things about that real quick. So we grab it over here. When you select it, we'll hit play to select it. So something some people will often miss is like, well, I don't need to select my birthday. Well, that's a long time ago, right? In my case, it's like 40 years ago. So instead of hitting this drop down, or instead of trying to like flip through here, 40 times 12, which is a really big number, 480, I know. What you can do is you can click on the year, and so then that will actually let you navigate down and find the year that you want. Same with month. Okay, so once you find whatever you're looking for, so there's the date I want, then just make sure that you press OK. I'm bad about clicking off of this and not actually hitting OK. But so then now it stores 9/7/2017 in there, and so we can pull that out, right? And we would do that with a label. We would just say datepicker1.selected.date, and then there would be our date. So that's the date control. List box. Very similar to your drop-downs and such. I don't use list box a lot, just being honest. Checkbox. So these are, the old check yes or no back from grade school. So if you want to have, is this form required, or is this expense billable? You want them to check that box, and then maybe what you do is have the on change there. So anytime they select the box that's on true, then we'd go and do a bunch of other stuff, make other things visible, things like that. Radio, that one is also, once again, just like dropdown. It stores the values. It's driven from an items list the same way, so very similar. Toggle, this one appears for people sometimes and they don't really understand why, so let's talk about it for a second. Ooh, world's largest toggle button. Hey, where's my text? Did I make you too big to get text? There it is, it's way over there. All right, so the toggle button, so you can see that it has right now by default an on and off value. So the toggle button is for Boolean. So in reality, even though it's showing me on and off, those are just properties. So if we click on it, so we have the whole on change and all that stuff like we'd expect, but there is a true text. So that's why it says on, right? So it could say awesome. And so then that is there. And then if you do up here, you can guess, since I did a true text, there's also a false text. And we do not awesome. Okay, so I'm going to show you this because, well, that's what shows up on the page. Yep, that makes sense. I can change the colors and all that. But if you add a label and you say, all right, what is in toggle 1? Toggle 1.value, it is either false or true. It is not awesome or not awesome, right? So whereas like with drop-downs, the radio, all those ones, they were all, whatever values you had there, that was what was being returned. This one just returns true or false. So if you add a data source with that Boolean value of true, false, the form is automatically going to use this. So I want to make sure you kind of have an idea that toggles are all true or false driven. All right, so that's the toggle. Sliders, we talked about those before, so we'll throw one on the screen here. And so we hit play. And so that's where I can just drag. And by default, it goes from 0 to 100. You can set the number range. You can set the default numbers. You have all those controls. Just need to make sure that you knew they were there. And then it would just be slider1.value would give you the number out of that. But that's a great touch control on the screen. You can change the size. You got big fingers trying to do it on a phone. You can adjust that and make it easier for them to input numbers. So that's the slider. We have the rating control. So the rating control is just a star system. By default, it's 1 to 5. You can make that as big as you want also. Timer. So the timer is one that you're like, well, why do I need a stopwatch in Power Apps? Right? First time I saw that, I'm like, who cares? Who needs a timer? Well, it turns out that a lot of the cool functionality that we like to build in Power Apps, it requires a timer, because things like if you want to make an animation, right? So like if I want to make a navigation menu that flies out from the side, so when they click on the little button, the menu kind of scrolls over. Well, I don't want it just to magically appear and disappear. I want to have it slide over and create that experience. Timers are how I move it, one little coordinate every millisecond to build that experience. So make sure you go in and explore Timer. Timer also has a lot of unique properties around starts and stops, what it does when it starts and stops. Should it automatically start? Should it be paused? Should it reset? There's a whole bunch of fun things that Timer does. So import, export, getting files or get data in and out of Power Apps. So don't do a lot with that, but that is if you have to make a solution where you kind of want to share and move things between the apps on your phones. There's a PDF viewer, there's a Power BI tile, and then finally at the bottom here is attachments. This is one of those newer controls that we've received. And the attachments control is for working with SharePoint list attachments. So if you add a SharePoint list with attachments in it, that's how you get them in and out, is using this attachments control. So pretty neat way to interact with SharePoint.